And good morning. For those that I have not yet met, I am Reverend Jeff, one of your ministers here this morning, and I am pleased to be here on what is the third week of our Giving Intentions program. For those of you who don't know what that is, once a year, we turn in our best estimate of what we intend to contribute, what we intend to contribute financially to the center in the coming year. What that does is let us plan and know what we have to work with. If you haven't yet turned in your Giving Intentions form, you can pick one up in the social hall today, and you can also fill one out online on our website. Keep in mind that everyone who turns in a Giving Intentions form before October 31st receives a free ticket to our gratitude event, and these are great events every year. And this one this year is a concert with Kathy Zaveda. If you turned in your intention form online, make sure to stop by the table in the social hall and pick up your ticket to that event. Last week, Dr. Edwards shared some of the letters of gratitude that we received from our 2013 nonprofit partners. And this week, we learned which organizations have been selected from the nominations that we received from you for 2014. So it gives me great pleasure to share those with you this morning. So you see that while what you give contributes what we do here at the center, it also goes far beyond these walls and does really good work in the world. Let's see, what is next? Each week this month, we've also seen a video of the people from our community reminding us of why we love and support our center. This week's video comes from some of my favorite people, the young adults.
Hi, my name is Angela Church. I love the center for the community that it's given me. I've grown up in it my whole life, and it's just been like the best people of my life. And I love that it's a place that I want to be. Growing up as a teen, I chose to go there without my parents forcing me, and it's just been a really great place to be because you guys let me question anything and everything that I want to, and it gives me such a sense of freedom and liberation.
Hello, my name is Tyler Hunsaker, and I'm a young adult at the center. And I love the center because I can be 100% who I am without being judged or criticized. And I'm very thankful for that. And I also love the center because the first day I walked in there, it felt like home. and the power of the energy in that place is just so upbringing, and I gotta go there every Sunday just to like recharge my batteries of beautifulness. It is the place to be if you want to feel loved all the time. And I've been going there for about a year now, and I couldn't see my life without it. So thank you, the center. I appreciate it.
And I am Althea Armada, and I love the center because it has given me a support group and a community to be a part of, and I've met wonderful people through there, and it's given me the tools that I need to help just handle my life and enjoy my life more. Plus, I met this lady.
Yeah. We charge our batteries with beautifulness. I like it. I like it. We have a busy morning, but I did want to share a story with you that I saw this week about a small Bible Belt town that had historically been dry, but then a local businessman decided to open a tavern. A group of people from the local church were concerned and planned an all-night prayer vigil to ask God to intervene. It just so happened that shortly after their prayer meeting ended, lightning struck the bar and it burned to the ground. The owner of the bar sued the church, claiming that the prayers of the congregation were responsible. But the church hired a lawyer to argue in court that they were not responsible. The presiding judge, after his initial review of the case, stated, "No matter how the case turns out, one thing is clear. The tavern owner believes in prayer, and the church people do not." Complicated, this church business. Speaking of complicated, I wanted to thank Dr. Edward for giving me this particular chapter in our book that we're looking at this month, Walking in This World. I especially enjoy getting to speak to the good and the light and the love that is available to us to experience in our lives. And this week, I won't be doing that because the material that he gave to me is about worry, fear, insecurity, self-pity, and doubt. I think he plans these things. We'll give it to the new guy. But the truth is that we do experience those feelings: worry, fear, insecurity, self-pity, and doubt. Sometimes so much that they've become barriers to us experiencing the kind of life that we want to live, that we're designed to live. And so they need to be considered now and then. We check in with ourselves. It serves us well to do it. Is worry, fear, insecurity, self-pity, or doubt getting in the way somehow? Is it muddying our minds and hearts? And if so, what can we do about them? I watched a conversation recently about how we often seem to look for or to even expect negative outcomes. Sometimes we even argue for them. And I was fascinated as I watched this conversation unfold to see that the majority of the people who commented agreed that yes, to some degree, they too often assumed in advance negative outcomes to the situations in their lives. And we wonder why we're often unhappy. Where did we learn this stuff? Or as one person asked, did we learn it at all, or is it just the way we are? It's not just the way we are. We're not born to suffer. That's an old belief. It was never true. Our founder, Ernest Holmes, says, somewhere along the line, we who are born to be free must think our way through until we're no longer afraid of the universe in which we live. We've learned to worry, see? Maybe even been encouraged to worry. Remember Murphy's Law? Anything that can go wrong will go wrong. What a lovely way to live. I was thinking, too, about a song that I heard when I was a kid, and only because it's Creativity Month, and creativity sometimes involves a little risk, I will share that song with you. And I invite you to sing along if you know the words. And the song goes like this. Gloom, despair, and agony on me. Deep, dark depression, excessive misery. If it weren't for bad luck, I'd have no luck at all. Gloom, despair, and agony on me. It's amazing what's in this mind of mine. But it occurs to me that apparently we have, to some degree, bought into that kind of believing. We worry a lot. And we can literally worry ourselves sick. From the National Institute of Mental Health, the problem occurs when fight or flight is triggered regularly by worry and anxiety, causing the body to release stress hormones that boost sugar levels and triglycerides that can cause physical reactions, such as, see if you recognize any of these, fatigue, headaches, inability to concentrate, irritability, muscle aches, muscle tension, nausea, nervous energy, sweating, trembling, and twitching. I was watching myself this morning. Here I am talking about worrying, and I'm giving a talk in front of 1,000 people. No problem. Anxiety and the stress hormones that result can lead to suppression of the immune system, digestive disorders, muscle tension, short-term memory loss, and coronary artery disease. Whether or not you become ill, the article continues, depends on how you handle stress, which is profoundly influenced by your coping style and your psychological state. There are things, it says, that we can do. In our book this month, Julia Cameron suggests that the counterpoint to these feelings and emotions is resiliency. Now, in my mind, resilience suggests a suppleness, a degree of wellness that allows some bending when challenges happen. We may still experience ups and downs, but a sure sign of wellness, a sure sign of moving in a good direction, is that the downs aren't as deep and they don't last as long. National Institute of Mental Health offers a few suggestions. The first two we're pretty aware of and are doing better at. Exercise daily and eat a healthy, balanced diet. The third suggestion, have a strong social network. It's easy to be invisible these days and to become isolated. And yet, there are a lot of opportunities to connect as well. Spiritual community fills a lot of that need for me. But there are groups that form around all kinds of different interests. Whatever it is that interests you, find other people with those interests and communicate with them. It's good for our health to do so. The fourth suggestion, be conscious of your worries. Set aside time to focus on your problems and fears. Interesting, huh? And it says, then let them go. Then let them go. Counseling, it says, can be an excellent place to unpack your fears and worries, look at them from another point of view, and help develop appropriate coping mechanisms. We do that here, spiritual counseling, licensed prayer practitioners. We have about 90 of them available. If you need to unpack something, look one of them up. See, prayer actually functions quite well as a relaxation technique, as a way of letting go, of surrendering. In Paul's letter to the Philippians, one of my favorite passages, he says, don't worry over things, but always by prayer, let your needs be known to God. And the peace of God, which passes all understanding, shall keep your hearts and minds. See, we've been having these conversations for a while. And now we're getting to what is perhaps the crux of the issue. If we're experiencing often some kind of worry, fear, insecurity, self-pity, or doubt, at some point we get to ask ourselves why. Do I trust that life supports me? Or do I not? Has living in an ongoing state of stress and worry become a habit? It happens. If I choose to believe that that's just the way that things are, that worry and anxiety are normal and therefore acceptable as a way of life, then I have just given away all of my power to that belief. What's the song of prayer in our hearts? Is it about gloom and despair? Or is it perhaps another song that you will hear often around here? I'm thankful, so grateful. I'm one with the Spirit all around me. I'm thankful, so grateful. I trust in God. Do I trust? That's the real underlying issue and question. Do I trust that the loving, intelligent, divine nature of all that is constantly guiding me towards a higher and greater experience and expression of life? Do I trust that? If I don't, that's where my work is. If I don't, then it's not about what's immediately before me that I think is what's causing the stress. It's not about specific circumstances or situations. It's about my beliefs about how life works. It's about my relationship with God. Can you see that? A brilliant feature in our form of affirmative prayer is a step that we call release. We often, at the end of our prayers, say something to the effect of, I release my word, my prayer. We do that on purpose. Because here's the thing, worry might be a part of life. It might be. I'm not convinced that it has to be. But part of learning to worry less, part of being well, is to develop ways to release our worry, our stress, our prayer. Eckhart Tolle says, what will be left of all the fearing and wanting associated with your problematic life situation that every day takes up most of your attention? A dash 1 or 2 inches long between the date of birth and the date of death on your headstone. I don't want to live that way. And I have a choice. Maybe we never learned any other way, but now we can, and we are. Here's the other thing about worry. Not only is it an unhealthy thing for our bodies and minds, but it, like the rest of our thought, is creative and powerful. What was it we said in our affirmation? I am creating right now by means of the thought flowing through me. What are we thinking? And why? Eric Butterworth, who was a Unity minister and one of the preeminent teachers about abundance and manifestation in metaphysics, said worry is based on the belief that some undesirable condition already exists or will soon exist. Worriers vividly picture in mind the undesirable condition they are worried about. Thus, because they see and feel the end result, they will the undesirable thing into being. This is why Job said, "For the thing that I fear comes upon me." Of course, because in the fear and anxiety, he was visualizing the end and creating the means. It was a self-fulfilling prophecy. This is the way mind unvaryingly works. Worry is actually a prayer, you see. It's powerful and creative. Our thought's creative. If what we're thinking about all day long isn't what we're wanting our life experience to be, then it just makes sense to develop some tools that allow us to live our lives in a different way. A way that makes space for something different. Something perhaps even joyful every day. I've talked to people that can't imagine experiencing joy every day. That's a problem. There's no lack of joy. There's an infinite supply. Joy, beauty, kindness, compassion, awe, and wonder. Why would we not make space for that in our minds and in our hearts and in our day? If there is no space for that, it might be time to pause and to reconsider. What am I thinking? And why? Leads us to suggestion number 5 from the National Institute of Mental Health. Learn relaxation. Why we have to learn it, I don't quite understand, but there you go. Learn relaxation. Relaxation triggers physiological responses that are the opposite of stress responses. Techniques include breathing. That's what it says. See, we've forgotten some of these simple things. Breathing, meditation, singing, listening to calming music, and activities like yoga and Tai Chi and prayer. See, we have tools. Which dovetails into their final suggestion, number 6, meditate. I was so gratified to see that in the National Institute of Mental Health archives. Meditate. Daily meditation, instead of worrying, decreases stress hormones such as cortisol and adrenaline in your system. So there you have it, a strategy that if we practice it regularly can allow us to navigate in a healthy way any worry or stress that comes our way. Exercise, eat well. This is not rocket science. Have people in your life to talk to connect with, and develop tools that allow you to address the worry in a proactive way. The Vedanta, the ancient Hindu text, says there are only 2 symptoms of enlightenment, just 2 indications that a transformation is taking place within you towards a higher consciousness. The first symptom, that you encounter more and more synchronicities. You begin to notice things you never noticed before. The second symptom is that you stop worrying. Things don't bother you anymore. You become lighthearted and full of joy. See, we've learned to worry. Maybe even been encouraged to worry. The good news is, if we can learn it, we can unlearn it. And just like worrying, we unlearn or begin to apply tools one day at a time, one moment at a time, maybe even one breath at a time. Whenever you find yourself worrying, think of a tool that might help you to navigate it. Take a breath, a single breath, as a spiritual practice. It can remind us, and then we take another because it's good for our health. See, we don't just breathe one time in our lives. We don't just pray one time in our lives. We don't just do yoga once or meditate once or eat well once or exercise once. We practice as a way of life, as a way of living, spiritual living. Being resilient doesn't mean there will be no life challenges. We feel grief and sadness and a range of other emotions. They're built in and they're okay. Resilience is about acknowledging our feelings and emotions, sorting through them, considering different perspectives, talking them through, applying tools, standing in our power, practicing. Resilience, the ability to navigate the ups and downs of life, expands in direct proportion to our spiritual practice. Dr. Holmes says, the divine plan is one of freedom. Bondage is not God ordained. Freedom is the birthright of every living soul. Worry, fear, insecurity, self-pity, doubt, they may come, but they come to pass. As the choir sang, the storm is passing over. It came to pass, it didn't come to stay. And we bring ourselves back to the place of remembering the perfect, intelligent, loving presence of Spirit in every moment, in every circumstance, with every breath. Brilliant little book. We know how to align ourselves. We were born aligned. It's our nature to be supple and resilient. If you are suffering, look at what you are attached to. Ask your heart and soul if there might be another choice. Ask if there might be a new idea to say yes to. Let us pray. And we begin with the breath as a spiritual practice, recognizing that the Spirit within me is God. And that Spirit is perfect. That Spirit is divine, whole, happy, complete. Spirit of infinite peace is within me, and that peace, poised in perfect life, complete in perfect happiness. That Spirit within me is God, and it is whole, and it is perfect, and it is complete. God is an immediate presence and an immediate experience in my mind and soul, and I'm conscious of this perfect presence, this divine wisdom, this eternal wholeness. Now I recognize that the principle of life is in me and around me and operates through me, that it has no want, has no fear, has no doubt, and has no limitation. There is that within me which guides me into harmony and love and beauty and friendship, and it does this in peace, in joy, and in certainty. And I let it. I let that divine within me, using whatever method it may, restore me to perfect health, perfect happiness and harmony, and bring into my experience everything that is good, that is perfect, and that is true. And that, my word, my prayer, I release into the mind of God. trusting, knowing that my life is always moving towards a higher and greater experience of itself. And so I surrender any fear, doubt, anxiety. I let it go. I let it be. And so it is. Amen.